I am live, and today we're talking about what is polyamory. Uh, so hopefully, okay, I see that I'm up, and today we're talking about what is polyamory, and I am just gonna start. I'm not seeing anyone yet on the call, so let's let's do this either way, because this is going to be recorded. And the reason I'm doing this uh, is because it's so important for there to be representation. I've been out for about 7 years, and the reason I'm out is because a year previous, only in 2016, did I even know the word polyamory. And so some of you who are watching this may not know what it means, or you've been hearing polyamory in the news, maybe some books, maybe a friend, maybe your partner is introducing it to you, and or you're an experienced person who is also developing within this framework of what polyamory may mean to you. I just want to, okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. um, okay, let's go back. Oh, there I am. Okay. So I see that there may be another person, and if you are here, I see Rebecca is here. And thank you, Rebecca, for thanking me. That's really sweet. I am nerve-wracked because this is the one of the first times that I've done live like this. So please tell me where you're from, whoever shows up. Tell me in the chat where you're coming from and what maybe, if you want to share what your experiences are. Hi, Douglas. Thank you for coming so much. And just tell me, maybe if you're practicing right now, if maybe you know someone, maybe you're just curious. Please share whatever experiences you have. You'll notice in this event that I have 7 questions. One just popped up in the events comments, which I have another screen so I can go through them with you. And if you message me and answer all 7 questions, I make it really hard, right? And give me your email at least. If you do all of that, even if you get the answers wrong, um, you will get a free gift in your email. I will choose one person, most likely. I'm actually probably going to wait because it really matters how many people. Thank you, Christy, for coming. Um, and if you look at the comments area, the discussion area of this event, look at all 7 questions, answer them by either emailing me at ray@reneebior.com. You'll see it in the description as well. And give me your email, and I will send you a gift, even if the answers are wrong. Okay, so we're going to actually go over the answers, so I'll make it really easy for you. And then I'll choose one. Most likely, I said at the end of this call, but most likely it'll probably be after, mounting upon how many people actually do that. I want to give you enough time to do that. And I will choose one, and one of you will get an email. All of you will get an email notifying you whether or not you won or not. But one of you will get an email saying you've won, and you can choose to either get a membership to lovingmore.org, a $50 membership, or you can get a gift basket, which will have a whole bunch of little fun things. Oh, sorry, except for that. It'll have this booklet, which is about confidence. Oh, I see. Hi. Hi, Prism Counseling and Support. Thank you for coming. You will get this little thing about confidence. It's free on my website. If you go to raylifecoaching.com, raylifecoaching.com, and go to free resources and click on Confidence Toolkit. This is actually the printed version of the toolkit. So I am a life coach, just so you're aware, and I call myself actually a coming out coach. I'm not specific on polyamory, but the reason I am doing this in the first place is because I came out as polyamorous. And this is actually the first step of what I call the coming out process. And so you can get this with the win. The winner will get this. They'll also get these cards that fell out for dating, I guess. They're like the table topics. I'll put that back in there. They'll get a pin from Loving More, um, and an emotions little thing that I have. Just going over your emotions. We always need to know how to describe our emotions because they're really hard to clarify. And then someone I met, Polly Q from the Loving More conference or Living Poly Living conference in Philadelphia in February. I got this from them. It's really, really cool. So it's also, and you'll get a book, one of my favorite authors, and it's a journal guide. Doesn't seem like it's related to polyamory, but being able to work on yourself is going to be really needed if you decide to be in this world or even deal with someone in this world. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Charlie. Oh, you were. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Yeah, the emotions thing is really important. This one is just mostly pretty, but so we're going to go over what is polyamory. And one of the first questions, and actually is probably the last question that I provided you on the win questions on the event discussion, it was who who coined polyamory. And it's not that polyamory was not happening, right? Just like trans and lesbian culture and gay culture, that was always happening, right? It's just that we have now come out more and more as a society to then create a language, right? So if anybody can answer that question in the chat comments, that would be great. I'm just looking at this chat here. Okay. So, sorry about that. If you could answer that question, who started um, saying polyamory or polyamorous? And that is one of the 7 questions. So if you could DM me or email me, ray@reneebior.com. All 7 questions in your email, you will get at least a free gift in the email in your email, as well as one of those people who decides to do this will get all of these little gifts. Okay. So the person who coined this was very interesting name, Morning Glory Raven Hartzell, in the world of, I think she was in the world of, I always forget, pagan religion. So in 1990. So this is actually not that old. The word itself's not that old if you really consider. Of course, I'm almost 47, so my perception of old and new, it may be slightly different from the people here. And so what is polyamory? So this is like the broad question, right? What is polyamory in itself and how simple is it? I think a lot of the time we try to go straight to sex, right? I'm going to use the word sex. We're going to go straight to sex because why? Why do you think? Why do you think we're going straight to sex? Just put in the chat if you can think of a reason why you think that we may as a society go straight to sex. So for me, I think it's because, it's the reason why we don't talk about it, right? It's the reason why polyamory is very scary. It's the reason why our emotional ties to our physical body related to sex and religion and politics. It's all money. There's so many things connected to sex. And therefore, polyamory says something. It says, oh, we can have more than one, right? But polyamory really is about love. It's about loving more than one. And so, what does love really mean? Is the huge question about what is polyamory. And I think that polyamory is really about love. And whether or not we can define what love is for ourselves. And is love only connected to sex? And what is love for one person to another? So I'm going to tell you a story about myself and my coming out, kind of to give you an idea of where I'm coming from. About 7 years ago, I came out in 2017. And around the same time, actually, it was February 17th. I remember the exact date because I told myself I have to do this. I have to talk to my partner, who, as you may know or not know, is I live with, I'm married to, I've been in a relationship with for about 31 years. And I was, I guess, what some would call very stereotypically externally looking, very vanilla and very um, cis female, and looking like I was heterosexual as well because I was married to a man. And uh, but I wasn't. Everything internally, everything inside me said, no, this isn't. And I was out as bi, but no one knew it, right? So I wasn't really fully out. So how does this relate to polyamory? Um, and and what do you think happened for me related to polyamory? So again, we're going to go right back to sex. So for me, I would say the catalyst for a lot of people may be sex. It may be that their partner is, wants more than they do or wants it differently than they do. They may not be getting sex at all in the way that they consider sex to be. Um, they may want multiple things, right? Um, that's that's not. Maybe they want a partner, or maybe they just want more than one. There's many reasons, right, for people to go in that route related to sex. Some of it might be a type of intimacy that they want. It might not be sex at all. Maybe you're asexual and you realize, this is just not just asexual, but there's certain things I want as an asexual person that my partner right now is not providing me. Um, so these are things that come up. And so for me, it was about sex, but it was also something completely different. And so in 2016, one of my friends came to me and just told me a little bit about their dating history and used the word polyamorous. And I was like, what is that? And so that's why I'm doing this today, is representation. And I want you all to understand the intricacies of polyamory because it is so simple. It is really so simple. It's about love. And so the question is really about, what is love? Is it finite? And because polyamory is saying it isn't. And in our maybe more heterosexual, but also just our monogamous world, um, relationships and love, romantic, sexual relationships, and I want to kind of take sex out of it in some ways because there are people who really aren't coming to this for that reason, and maybe over time it might not be about sex at all. And that is that's my case right now after 7 years. Um, so, what is love? Is it finite? Is it something that you can only have for one person, and why? And so there's tons of things that come up when even a person who has been polyamorous forever, for a long time, maybe since, they started dating, or started having relationships, that they may experience that challenge them having relationships. So we're going to talk about that as well. So I don't know if I answered for you what polyamorous is, because, and the reason I'm making it so broad is that it's about love, but it tends to be what people gravitate in the beginning, um, is because of sex, and that's okay. But I think inevitably the broad scope of it is about that love isn't finite. Our time and energy are finite. So you might have someone who identifies as poly, but is actually not with anybody because they're focusing on something else. Maybe love for self, love for other things, love for their work, love for their family, but they don't actually have that type of relationship. And again, we'll get into other definitions of relationships. So I'm just reading one other person's thing: loyally offering valid empathy. Hmm, okay, curious about that, Christy. Thank you. Um, so yeah, okay. So we're actually going to go through the questions that I provided in the discussion. So let me just scroll there. Let me get there. Okay, and go to discussion. Okay, so the last question that's just posted on the discussion is question 7. When was polyamory coined and by whom? I mentioned it was, and I'm not gonna get this person's name right, so I have to look it up again. Morning Glory Raven Hartzell in 1990, and she was a pagan, but not all polyamorous people are pagan. Please don't put those two together, because that's not how that works. Um, but that just so happens to be the answer. Um, okay, so the first question of these 7 questions is, what is relationship escalator? And I think this one comes up really quickly for me because when a lot of people start, like I said, into polyamory sometimes, especially if they're already in like a full-time relationship, a very coupled relationship, they tend to go right into polyamory due to sex, a reason related to sex. And whether it is that some people cheat, right? That's not polyamory. Polyamory is ethical, which means it's consensual. And oh God, is consensual such a big topic? And we can definitely go there in another live chat. But we're going to answer the question number 1: what is relationship escalator? So relationship escalator is the thought that a relation goes in a direction. And the reason I bring this up for the first question is because so many of us don't even notice that our own description of just even using the word relationship denotes that it's a love sexual relationship. Okay, so let's just take a moment. Okay, that word relationship, I'm in a relationship, denotes assumptions by others that you are automatically, probably, most likely having sex with somebody. So that in itself is a relationship escalator component, meaning that we say relationship and we think we know what that means, right? Just like someone says female and we think we know what that means. We see someone in a dress and we think we know how to relate to them. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going into gender and all that wonderful stuff. But it's true. We use one word and all of us think that, oh, in some way. And that's not exactly true, right? We have some people who really need more specificity. And I'm going to say that polyamory brings up these issues of not being specific, because polyamorous people are specific. And that's the point, is that love is uniquely to us and the connections in which we have that connection, which is a relationship. So my relationship to my cat is one thing. My relationship to my brother is another. My relationship to you on this call is one thing. So we're always in relationship, right? So why is it that our society automatically says, I'm in a relationship? And be like, it should be like, of course you are. But instead we go, they are um, most likely having sex or in a love relationship with that person. So what is a relationship escalator? It is an idea that a relationship goes in a trajectory and that there is a value system, meaning there is a stairway almost, right? That you are going up. And so in each rung, you're valued higher, just like a hierarchical relationship. It's very similar in that if you say, let's say, I'm in a relationship, okay, when did you start dating? What is dating? Dating means, what does it mean to you? And then when did you start kiss, physical contact? So this is rungs of the escalator. And then there's many questions. When did you when did you meet their family? It's like, oh, that means it's more serious. These are all these assumptions. When did you move in together? When did you get married? When did you have children? Are you going to have children? All of these questions. There are assumptions that a relationship should go into this trajectory. And if it doesn't by a certain point, then it must not be good. So polyamorous kind of, I mean, it doesn't always, not always, but it brings up this issue, right? Because it may not be a part of your connection with people. You may have what is called a friend, and you occasionally have cuddles with, or you might even kiss. You might hold hands. They might take care of your children with you. They might live with you. There might be tons of things. They come to family parties. They are more involved than your sexual relationship in your life. There may be other things that kind of like change the roles in this situation. And I'm going to say that polyamorous is about that your connection with each individual relationship and person in your life may might like skip steps in the escalator, right? It may just go somewhere else, and that's all you have, and that's good enough. It may just stay in one place for a very long time. It may stay there forever, and both of you are in consent of it being there, and whatever, both of you are like, this is good, this is what this is for, this is what we can have together, and we don't need anything else. Okay, so we're going to move on off of question one. And okay, so one of the non-questions that I had is, do you wonder what unicorn hunting is and why some polyamorous people abhor the words? So this is kind of similar to some other questions in the 7 question. It's not a question. It's not a part of the questions, but if you want to answer it, feel free. Um, do you wonder what unicorn hunting is? Okay, so unicorn hunting really is like a couple who is looking for one person to join. Usually, that's usually what it is. So they're looking for one person. Stereotypically, it's a couple, like a male female couple that is looking for one person, but it's not always like usually a female, stereotypically, but that's not always true. It could be a gay couple looking for another person, male or female, gender, whatever. Um, but in that instance, sometimes it can be very toxic because that couple is making a lot of assumptions and also has a power dynamic that's over that individual that they're looking. So that's why some polyamorous people abhor the words. I tend to be one of those people who doesn't really love the words, because I notice a similar stereotypical thing that happens in unicorn. Even just the word hunting sounds bad, right? And unicorn is kind of, it's like an oxymoron in a way, because it's like there's something that you want, but that's not really real, right? Because a lot of the time, the assumptions that happen with a couple is that that one person is going to, one, fulfill a role, and and that the role is the same for the two individuals of the couple, but also that that one person's going to like the two couples equally, and vice versa, right? So that's really hard to control, and actually impossible to control. It's not something to be controlled. It has to come naturally, and it may fall and flow into an ebb. And so those, that couple and the person, so this is like couple, um, having more say over it. A couple and the person have to be in consent with each other, and the power dynamic has to be, open, meaning that no one person, unless it's kink, right? No one person, it is agreed upon, has, um, a bigger say over, or two people have a bigger say over whether or not something, a relationship, is going to work or not. So, okay, so let's go to question two. What is relationship anarchy? So, relationship anarchy is a belief that relationships, you know, should like develop naturally in a way, and that, that there isn't more of an assumption that we're going on. We meet someone, and we kind of see whether or not it's going to work. We're maybe a little bit more open to it working wherever it needs to go. There's definitely no attachment, very, as much less attachment to the escalator, right? Thought, in that we're like, well, this is going to go where it's going to go, or not. It's going to be where it is. And we're in acceptance of that, and we're acting in accordance to our boundaries related to that, instead of trying to fit it into, a box in a certain way. And yeah, the argument is that some of this is not perfect, right? And I'm going to say that actually relationships in general are not perfect. I mean, you have many relationships that are really good, and they last for a really long time. They have great communication skills, but the reality is they're still talking about really hard stuff. And they probably go through ebbs and flows of things working and not working. And so the same thing goes for relationship anarchy, or whatever else you decide to, believe and practice. The same thing. So, relationship anarchy also is not in, doesn't really go with relationship hierarchy. So, the next question is question three. What is, hierarchical relationships? And so, hierarchical relationships are saying that there's a rating system in so many ways. And I'm going to first kind of describe my perspective on hierarchical relationships, and then kind of give you the opposite argument around it, because I've heard the opposite argument around it. So, hierarchical relationships are kind of like the couple. I mean, this is the stereotype, right? The couple is the most important, or whatever's the most important. Maybe the mother and child, or the family unit is the most important, or whatever one may say, my person is the most important. Your primary relationship is most important. We all have different words for whatever that is. So you'll notice on the discussion in this event, where this question is, that it has a kind of a pyramid structure, like one person. It shows one person on the top, but it usually, in relationships in this scenario, it tends to be the couple or the family unit, and then everything else is secondary or tertiary or whatever. So whatever that may be for you, but there in society there's like a stereotype, right? Like the family unit, and then maybe your close friends. But if you're in polyamorous relationship, the hierarchical relationship or hierarchical polyamorous relationship tends to be the family unit and then your subsequent love relationships and or friends or whatever. And so you may first make decisions as a family, and then in order to make decisions on the secondary level, you may have to talk to the family unit. And some of the things that might happen are, oh, I have to ask so and so. You know, there's a lot of reference to your your upper echelon of that hierarchy for your tertiary or secondary relationships. And so in that structure, it's like the power dynamic is not with maybe you so much, but more with the primary relationships that you have. Um, so that being said, anarchy or relationship anarchy would say that most likely your if you were in any hierarchy it would be with yourself, and so that you're making the decisions and you're autonomous, although that doesn't mean that things don't sway you, but you are choosing independently. You are choosing, you are making, you own your decisions, really, that's what it is. And so in hierarchical polyamory, it can get kind of, especially if you're saying, I have to ask, it's like, it's almost like you're putting off your decisions to somebody else or something else instead of owning it and being like, oh, let me get back to you. And then, yeah, you might have to do whatever you need to do to make a decision, but it's still your decision, you know. And so the argument on the other side is that every relationship is hierarchical. And I can understand that argument in that, and this argument also may say that your relationships inevitably have to be hierarchical. Um, and because you're always kind of interdependent or dependent upon other people, and there's maybe you have more ties with certain people, so they make it hard for you to make those decisions independently. Well, I think that's normal, yes, but I think in a poly world some people would argue that when you start to say let's say I'm with one of my partners and I say, well, I'm married and that's important, more important. And so I have to ask so and so, my married partner, about whether or not I can see you on Friday. You really don't need to say that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, do you really need to do that? You know, there's reasons why one would need to ask someone if they can do that. It could be we have responsibilities together to be there for our child. We have responsibilities together to take care of the cats, and at least one person has to be there. Understandable, but you don't actually have to say that out loud. You could just be like, "Oh, let me get back to you," and actually be like, "Okay, I want to go. Can you be here?" You know, um, and if your other partner or whatever responsibilities you have with somebody else that would deter you, then you have the decision to be like, hey, you keep on making it hard for me to have this other relationship by holding this other thing um, in, you know, to make sure that holding this other thing above me so that I can't have this other relationship or be flexible. And that happens, right? When someone holds their power dynamic in a certain way to control whether or not their partner can do certain things. It happens even in monogamous relationships. There are a lot of partners who can't even, who have a hard time not being together like all the time. So this is more about owning your decisions, really. It's about how you own your decisions, recognizing the power dynamic that's happening, and understanding that everyone has inalienable rights almost. You know what I mean? Everyone has the right to be in that relationship and make decisions for themselves and hold boundaries for themselves. So, for instance, if my partner that I live with was like, "Oh, you can't, go see so and so on Friday," I'd be like, "Why is that? You know, is there something that you need me for?" Be like, "Well, you had said to me that you were going to bring me to the hospital on Friday, and you were going to be there with me." Well, that makes sense, right? That makes total sense. But if they said, "Oh, well, um, I'm lonely," or they make some decision, well, that's you deciding for yourself whether or not you want to have that connection. What type of connection do you want with each of these people in your life, right? It's just like friends, it's just like family members. We get the sex part in the middle as if that says something more. And yes, in some ways it may, but the way we treat each other is more important. That I believe, anyway. So we're gonna go on to question 4. What is couples privilege? Okay, we kind of have been talking about this in a way. So couples privilege is really the power dynamic that's created within a couple and how they treat their relationship, really. So, for instance, there are some couples that always go to things together. They go to vacations together, they go out together, they go out with friends together. They don't do very much alone, right? So, and in that instance, if it's agreed upon, it's not always agreed upon. It may be pseudo agreed upon, but if that's agreed upon, that's great. That's, if it's consensual, great. And if they're allowing for consent on the other side with whatever relationships they have, for instance, if they have a family member who says, "Oh, I want to go out with you," and all of a sudden they bring their partner with them, and the other person's like, "I meant you, not your not your partner too," that's still almost like a couple's privilege in a way, because you're not providing consent. You're saying, "Oh, well, we have," or it could be that is, can I don't know. I'm trying can I go on a vacation with you and you my spouse or my partner? And they'd be like, is it because of the no, we just don't do anything separate, you know, privilege in a way. And there's more to this. It could be just societally, society itself honors couples more than single people. Well, there's a belief system in our society that occurs if you're there with a couple, like Valentine's Day, and so there's a little bit of like, oh, especially if you're married, there's also couples privilege. There's studies that have, I mean, I'm not a study connoisseur, but there's places where you have noticed maybe where someone who's married might actually make more money because they're showing responsibility and commitment in a certain way that society honors. So there's couples privilege in so many places, and it trickles down really badly in polyamory, because once you start to add all these other people that are affecting, maybe affecting your relationship, maybe the time, maybe just the belief that um, that something is missing from a relationship. And yeah, we're not even getting into jealousy here. That's a bigger topic. And so couples privilege is pretty deep, and can get into the hierarchical area of a relationship, and is is a hard one because it's not just about, let's say I am the partner who wants to be polyamorous and the other person isn't, you know, that can be really hard. But it can be hard on both sides because once you're challenged on both sides, you realize both of you might have different assumptions of what should be talked about, what should be asked about, surprises in your relationship when the other partner is, spending time with somebody else in a more deep way. Um, this is all about communication in the end. It's all about communication and being able to really address the feelings and thoughts that are arising. So we're going to go to the next question. Question 5. What is the difference between jealousy and envy? Oh, sorry. I did these in order, obviously. So jealousy is, I love Chari. Chari, thank you if you're here for answering this question. Jealousy is a worry about something you have being threatened by a third party. So worry about something you have being threatened by it. Okay, so yeah, jealousy is something like you don't exactly want to be the person, but you feel like something's being taken away from you, really. And for instance, it might be like, my partner is dating somebody else or has a friend, and that friend really likes basketball. And they go to basketball games now, and I am not being invited to basketball games anymore. And then I feel like I'm missing out, and I'm jealous of their relationship. Envious is something that you don't have that you want to have. It could be totally separate from that. It could be like, your friend is having lots of fun, and you're envious because you want to have fun, but it doesn't mean you want it with them. You don't feel like they're taking something away from you, really. It's just a realization of like, oh, I really need that in my life, that kind of thing. So I think that jealousy and envy is just a whole bunch of feelings. And it's about, for me, it's all about missing out in some way. But it could be a whole bunch of things. And so you have to ask yourself when you have those feelings, what is going on with me? What am I not asking for? What am I realizing that I want, either with that partner or just independently? What am I not saying? What yeah, what can I talk about? What can I ask for? And linking those feelings with the events is not valid. It sometimes may not have anything to do with a reminder that you want to go to basketball games with them because like you're a part of their life and that you're sharing something. And so you might to schedule an event where we go to a basketball game. How do you feel about that? And the hard part is them declining you, right? So these feelings that we have around jealousy and envy are really about our feelings, but also being vulnerable enough to be declined. So that's consent, right? To being no, or a negotiation or a conversation. And stereotypical social or societal relationships in this way. Want to get married with me? Then I'm done, because I only can have one, like, so fluidity here. And it makes you get a little bit more you really are looking for with this particular person, not just in a thing like that relationship has to satisfy all, but more like, well, this person being with, I like to see them, enjoy what they enjoy. And so if it's not, that would give me the same gratification of feeling like they want to share joy with me and showing them that I can be there in that way. Maybe that's what it is, able to be a little bit more granular about what we desire and by, a good connection between the two of us in sharing. Okay, so question number 6, what is compersion? Okay, so interesting because jealousy is one. I wish I had that either with you or for myself. And It's like you can still feel jealousy and envy and be compersive with of someone. It's and it can be just a thought at first. It could be like, oh, I'm so happy. I'm really jealous right now. You know, it could be that. It could be like, God, I know you really. I'm so happy, but I got to take a moment to deal with my envy right now. And so there's compersion can be just like a fist bump, like, hey, I'm so proud of you. Um, but real full blown compersion is when someone is maybe even, I think this is like the you're like, wow, you've done something good here, especially if you normally are jealous of yourself, not exactly jealous about, oh, I had this great experience, and normally you're jealous about that because you weren't sharing in that, or you wanted that so bad in the past, but maybe you still want that and you're experiencing this, oh, yay, and you get to celebrate with them, like being your partner and sharing that like experience of celebration and rooting them on and that kind of stuff without all of the stuff. Or say, oh, hi, Shari, you are here. I can say that I am challenged. I tell people that I have a lot of, I think is because I'm very emotionally, I say emotionally challenged. If you find yourself experiencing a lot of feelings, you just may be a person who is emotionally aware, and that you could find yourself being, and that is okay. Compassion is where you need to be in that instance. So just give yourself of compassion for an awareness that, oh, good for you for noticing your feelings. Try to hide it, right? We try to be like, oh, well, I'm fine. I never have feelings. I'm good. You passionate to yourself and just be like, oh, okay, just journal or try to figure out where that jealousy and what maybe you need to be asking for and speaking up for and doing for it. So we already did question 7, which was where by whom, and I just want to say to you guys all, thank you for coming here. And we have about 12 minutes. Want to be a part of the gift and the winning. It's a gift basket if you want the big gift basket, or if you want to, the other option is to get a $50 membership. You can get that if you don't want to give out, if you just don't want all of these little. You're also going to get another book. I'm going to see if I can find it. So it's, there you go, Jen Sincero, and an emotions thing. And then Poly Living Conference 2 had these, and Poly Bullet Journal, you'll get this as well. The dating table topics. So dating, you'll get a pen, and you'll you'll get this confidence workbook. If you go to my website, ray.com, press on free resources, and there's a confidence toolkit. You can click on that. That's free virtually, but this um, workbook, I guess you would say, and meditations, affirmation, and how to use it, and all that fun stuff. And then the other book that you will be getting is, if I can find it, is Polysecure by Jessica Fern, and it is a very in-depth book. um, it's it's a very nice book. So you will be getting a lot. So all you have to do is answer all 7 questions. Either email me or message me. Obviously, if you email me, you're already giving me your email address. My email address is ray, R-A-Y, at Renee, R-E-N-E-E, BOR.com. That information is on the comments or the discussion page of this event. And I will pick the winner of the people who email me by tomorrow. Let's just say this time at 12 o'clock. I'll post that on this event so that you know as well. And thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions at this moment, please put them in the comments. I will be probably doing this event on a monthly basis, and it may be more specific. This today was just really a tester to see one, who comes, two, who's interested, and what kind of topics are you looking for. So whether you put it in the comments today or in the discussion of this event or just on my page, or you DM me about things that you would like to hear more about, please do that, because not only will I have a monthly event like this about polyamory, but I'm also doing a confidence toolkit discussion, which is, again, this thing that I provide on my website. If you go to raylifecoaching.com/free resources, or click on the free resource tab, you will see the confidence toolkit. You can get it for free. You can download it for free. But this is a part of the winning. If you answer the 7 questions and email me or DM me with your email address. And I am providing a free talk just like this live through about the confidence toolkit, which is the first step of the coming out process. It's really the inner work needed to do to start your life again, to come out with really hard things, to stand up for yourself, to figure out what you really want and get specific, to hold consent for others. So that's the second process of the coming out process, which is another manual that I'll be creating and almost finished with, manifesting magic manual, and that's also on the free resources tab. So if you have any questions right now, please post them in the comments. Otherwise, I'm just gonna wait for a little while and discuss Elephant's Toolkit. Okay, so Chari says this is an education. I was looking forward to taking notes. Okay, so when you're specifying on resources and education, are you talking about deal with jealousy? Like, or what is polyamorous and side of you, how to come out? So I would love to talk to you, Chari, in regards to um, polyamorous education. So if it's like attachment, dealing with your own personal attachment, how to communicate hard things and have like radar conversation, how to find partners. These are topics that we will definitely get into months to come. Um, right now, in the confidence toolkit thing, provide on a monthly basis. Um, I think it's the last Monday I'm providing this. I go over and how to deal with your inner. So in that way, it really matters learning about jealousy. Okay, relationship style, attachment, and relationship dynamics. Okay, great. Listening to yourself so that you can start dealing. And it's the next step is the manifesting relationship structures and ways. So that should be coming up in a month once I'm finished with the related to it. So look out. I will be posting, if you're following already, my will get notifications through events. My confidence toolkit's already there. So interesting to you. It might not seem related to polyamory, but it is. Just so you know, you need this support of inner strength related to boundaries, jealousy, and um, really coming out as a independent person and still having connections and an interdependent. Really exciting. Thank you so much, Chari. Particularly, you're awesome. And other people who are just curious, who are having trouble coming out in any way, whether it be poly age, that would be really kind of them for them to me, because I want to learn more about all of you in my community. And just ask any questions, DM me or email me at Ray, RARENEEBEYOR. Thank you so much. And I think I'm going to close it out. And hey, yay!